Start. Beleza. Sim, não, sim. Uai.
Posso ver aqui nesse computador também.
Ah, tá indo, ó. Tá. Vê se você consegue abrir aí no... Vou te mandar pelo Facebook o link, vê se... Tá aqui, Ah, beleza, vou te mandar, vamos ver. Mas acho que tá indo. Eu não sei porquê, eu queria que ficasse a resolução inteira, sabe? Eu não sei, eu não tô sabendo ajustar isso aqui, sabe? Aí fica essa resolução estranha. Tá vendo? Não, rola um delay aí, mas... Mas parece ok, só tá sem som, vamos ver.
Tem lá no Optional Features, Vai sim.
Mas parece ok, só tá sem som, vamos ver. Ó, não, tá rolando agora.
Tem lá no Optional Features, Vai sim.
Beleza. Mas ok, tá rolando, né? Né? Então ótimo, perfeito. Ok. Bom, acho que tá. Bom?
Ele pode ficar sem som.
Entendi. Mas tá ok, né? Tá. Desculpa.
E ver se as pessoas querem.
Mas não é aberto? Mas a gente pode gravar de qualquer forma? Não, era só pra fazer um teste, a gente já...
E aí, essa chuva?
Eu vou só fazer uma gravação local.
Duas pessoas assistindo.
E... Sabe qual que é a merda? Eu não consigo abaixar toda a luminosidade. Mas daqui a pouco ele dorme, talvez. Vai ser o máximo que eu consigo.
Ele dorme?
Queria ficar
É o Windows 8?
Hã?
Não é o 8.
Não vai dormir porque tá gravando. Tem que deixar apagado, sabe? Tipo, não ficar piscando. Mas eu posso deixar... já sei.
Tem que estar no meu aí.
Não, é que eu te mandei o link.
Ótimo.
Qualquer, assim, tipo, bem...
Meu Deus,
meu, é um rolê, entendeu? Tipo, tem que... Tem que rolear, mano. Tem que rolear. Ai, carai, cadê? Perfect.
Okay, né?
Nada terrível.
Você deixa no descanso de tela aí. Aí eu não sei se ele ficar no descanso, ele vai ficar gravando também. Melhor não. Deixa assim.
Tá
Não parece
streamando
que tá
já.
gravando. É?
Ah, tá streamando, você já ouviu?
Então deixa.
Deixa assim.
Ah, nem parece.
Primeiro vai ter que fazer uma calibração dos carros,
Bem que elas anúnciam.
É, cansa.
exatamente o que a gente tem com água, médio vazio. Eu usar isso para depois poder calibrar e instalar absoluto. Daí não vai ser em função da temperatura,
O que aconteceu isso?
meio que para cada uma das temperaturas, depois de pôr na amostra. Quando o sistema está funcionando automaticamente, coloca aqui lá, vai estar aqui. Isso é bom, senão você tem que ficar fazendo manualmente. Isso leva tempo.
Eu acho que seria melhor.
Tem que ficar de olho.
Dessa aqui na frente.
As medidas de ácido que a gente fez, isso manual. Cada energia que mudava ia lá igual mentira.
Manuais, eu lembro até hoje de evaporação de proteína na cozinha, usando banho térmico, tinha que ficar fazendo mudança, e aí para esfriar o banho você tinha que tirar a água, pôr ela com gelo, nossa, era uma coisa absurda.
O dele é de banho. O dele é de banho. Sabe de banho? A parte da preguiça. É, tá de boa.
não, esse grupo de preenchido tirar, tipo, a galera das primeiras. Tinha uma galera das primeiras.
O técnico só avisou que se quisesse usar o laptop lá era só baixar aquele botão.
Sim, sim, sim. Só preciso ver se ele tem. Você tem a sua palestra em pendrive? A gente coloca. Cortes de verbas ausentes, né? Verbal. Mas fora isso, estamos tudo bem.
Example, né?
Embaixo. Exemplo. Nossa, foi lá.
E aí, como é que foi lá?
Tudo ok. Responde.
Você ficou só um dia, é isso?
Foi lá no CES saiu começar lá no depois do almoço. Ah, você tem que ver onde que é o seu. Você vai falar inglês ou...
Você vai falar inglês, tem que falar inglês. Leio uma palavra português. Eu hoje entender. It's better to speak in English.
The scientific language.
Of course.
That is principalmente a beleza da frente e da frente.
Quem quer
Pode
English?
esperar um pouco. Bom, a gente pode esperar um pouquinho. Eventual, onde está o
Toninho,
Ele estava almoçando com a Nádia. But Nádia, because it's wet. Yeah. He just said that he would get a little bit later. So, in any case, we can wait a little bit more.
You guys have done some work with those particles with the system.
Yes.
And I've acknowledged that you had something with the lots receptor, wasn't it?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm going
that's
to
great.
test that and I put some results.
Oh, fantastic.
They actually wanted to.
You haven't seen the whole project yet. Anytime did I show you the general project, the results or not? No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Não. Eu estou colaborando com eles, eu sinto assim, pronto, fez uma colaboração nos últimos 3 anos. De repente foi decidido. Mas não tem uma colaboração explícita ainda.
La Sapienza.
No, sto per caso. La Sapienza is the old university of Rome, and then they created, we have another university
esse workshop foi porque eu já venho colaborando há alguns anos com o professor Alessandro, com a Silvia, e a gente sabe que eles têm, que as coisas que eles fazem podem ser úteis para as coisas que o Raul faz. Então a ideia foi ver se a gente pode trocar algumas ideias para quem sabe pensar em novas colaborações. Então, so switching to English, the idea is that each one of them will tell something about their work, and then we see. So the first speaker is Raul Maranhão, which will talk about lipid nanoparticle as vehicles for the treatment of arteriosclerosis, cancer, and other degenerative disease. So, Raul,
I'm trying
is
to
everything
work
okay
out
there?
I'm trying hard here to work out the
Okay, the mouse. Okay. Okay, great. So then,
the raton, as they say.
please, you can start.
So this is the system. Well, let's see. I think I'd better talk from here. You'll be able to hear
Yes, sir.
without mics. Okay. So this is the idea of the system. So what you have at your left is the lipoprotein that carries most of the cholesterol in the circulation, which is LDL, low density lipoprotein, which is constituted by this monolayer of phospholipids that surrounds, phospholipids surrounding a core of cholesterol esters. And you have a little bit of free cholesterol in that phospholipid monolayer as well. You can see here. And the core is basically constituted by cholesterol esters with some residues of triglycerides. Okay, so and there's this big protein, the surface of LDL, which is ApoB100. And this protein is the link, the ligand to the LDL receptors that take up the lipoprotein from the circulation. These are, membrane surface receptors that pick up the lipoprotein by binding to ApoB. Are you familiar with lipid things, the lipid world? Okay, so perhaps. So what we did was to reproduce the LDL structure without ApoB. And then when you inject those particles in the circulation, what happens? There's no protein. So how could the particle interact with ApoB and be taken up by the cell? By collisions of the artificial lipoprotein with the natural lipoprotein, the native lipoprotein like HDL, VLDL, and so forth, the apolipoproteins from the native lipoprotein shift to the surface of the artificial one that we call LDE. And one of the proteins, ApoE, is the one that is going to bind our artificial lipoprotein, here is our LDE in blue, to the LDL receptors with much more affinity than ApoB. And then you can ask why ApoB does not shift to LDE, because it's a very hydrophobic and large protein, so that it is not able to shift from one particle to the other. So what ApoE does is a smaller one. The interaction of the receptor is make more than one ApoE molecule. So it has something like 20 to 30 times more affinity to the receptor than the ApoB. So you see that our particle will have more affinity for the LDL the LDL receptor mediated pathway of phagocytosis than the artificial lipoprotein, than the native LDL. So I think this is useful here. We can use, for instance, this model as a biomarker to explore lipid metabolism. It's much more practical than the native lipoprotein. You know why? Because if I want to study LDL kinetics in your circulation, I have to inject a label with radioactivity or so on, whatever. But then I have to take your blood, isolate LDL, and re-inject into you. When you do the thing, because you may have HIV or hepatitis virus, I cannot take from you and inject him into him. So with a single preparation of LDE, depending on the quantity of marker you use, you can study 10, 20, 100 patients with a single preparation. So there's an advantage that in lipid metabolism studies we have taken advantage very often. Wow. So we have here, for instance, this lesson you say why exercise training protects against heart disease, atherosclerosis. We found this explanation here. See, we inject LDE labeled with C14 cholesterol acid, so very small dose. Okay? No problems with radioactivity and consequences and so on. The exposure is sometimes thorax X-ray. So we inject and then we collect serial blood samples and trace the decay of the virus. And we inject in a group of athletes. They practice, they are cyclist practitioners. And in a group of sedentary people, like that one. So, see, you can see here, the above curve is the one that I got, and myself, of course. You know, sedentary, of course. You can see by. Here we have the decay curve in the sedentaries on top, and here in the athletes. So this is a quite novel information. In people that practice exercise, they're capable of removing LDL and LDL cholesterol 5 times more rapid than sedentary people. So if LDL has a fast turnover, it is always a new lipoprotein. And oxidation and modification processes are, of course, happening in much smaller rates. That's why we put a pretty solid mechanism against atherosclerosis. And this happens because when you practice exercise, you overexpress LDL receptors. And that's why it goes so faster in the sedentary. Wow, see here. So there was the whole Brown and Goldstein are the Nobel laureates in 1990. 1985, because they discovered the LDL receptors. And they also described that genetic defects in those receptors are the cause of familial hypercholesterolemia, accumulation of LDL particles in the circulation. So they also discovered that in cells from acute myeloid leukemia, the overexpression of LDL receptors also occur. So you have here much more receptors in a leukemia cell than in the corresponding normal cell. Why this? Because neoplastic cells have a much more greater rates of mitosis. They divide pretty fast, so they need cholesterol, they need phospholipids to make up new membranes. The way that they get these materials inside is just overexpression of the receptors, so they swallow LDL. Okay? So it was proposed that's pretty after that you could use LDL, native LDL, put drug, an anti-cancer drug inside, inject in the circulation, and they concentrate in the leukemia cells. And of course, in most cancers, this overexpression, LDL receptor overexpression happens. Ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and so forth. But of course, LDL, can you imagine a chemotherapy session like that? I mean, I get 3 or 4 guys, they undergo plasmapheresis, and then I put in drug, and there's a whole, so we got the solution for this problem by the artificial LDL or LDE. And you see here what happens when you inject LDE in patients with acute myeloid leukemia, the same problem that Goodson described. You see here the kinetics. You have control people in points above, and in the full curve, the fulfilled curve in patients with myeloid leukemia. So they avidly, the leukemia cells avidly swallow also LDL. And when you treated this patient with conventional chemotherapy, and they got remission of disease, the clearance curve was much slower. I see here the clearances. Here's the clearance before the treatment. Here, before the treatment and after the treatment. You see that increases a lot. You destroy the leukemia cells, then everything, the curve goes back to a normal pattern. So this was the very idea. It was a patent that we got in 96. You put the drug inside LDE in red, inject in the circulation. Then the LDE gets ApoE, binds to the receptors. The receptors are overexpression in the neoplastic cells. They concentrate in the neoplastic cells. in this case, in the normal cells where the expression of the receptor is really low. And here the proof of concept. We labeled LDE with technician to generate nuclear medicine images, and we inject in patients with memory with breast cancers and see what happens. LDE concentrated in the primary tumor, like here. This is the normal breast tissue in blue. I mean, no concentration of LDE. That is concentrated in the tumor and in the metastasis of the primary tumor. In case here, metastasis, bone metastasis. That is a common metastatic site for breast tumors. So I worked with a lot of, to this moment, 5 or 6 chemotherapeutic agents, very used, paclitaxel, etoposide methotrexate, with different mechanisms of action. And of course, those agents are terribly toxic. One of these that I worked, carnosine, was, expelled from the pharmacopoeia of many countries. In Brazil, it's very good in terms of anti-cancer action, but the toxicity is so high, and the cumulative toxicity is so high that we have to give up the treatment after 1 or 2 cycles after about the interrupt the treatment.
Do you add the drug during the synthesis of the FDA, or do you mix together?
At this point, with the technology we have, at this point we mix. But you have to derivatize these agents. You have to put a oleic acid in their structure. Here, etoposide oleate. When you add the fatty acid to the compound, it becomes pretty more lipophilic. Then you can get it into the particles, make the association with a very high yield. The yield is something like almost 100%, 90%, 95%. And then one thing that is very important as well is stable after injection, of course. Otherwise you would lose the drug targeting effect.
How? In your the ideal receptors, does it have similar affinity for both LDE and LDL, or it's just that your LDE has the drug inside it, or do you enhance the affinity of the LDE for the receptors?
I can't catch it.
No, your receptors, the LDL receptors, it has similar affinity for both LDL and LDE, or you enhance the affinity for the
No. The binding of LDE to the receptors through a dominion. There's a dominion in ApoE that binds to the receptor. Imagine this, for instance, this is ApoE. So this dominion here binds to the receptor, and this dominion here binds to the surface of the particle. So once it makes the binding, the whole particle is taken up, goes to the cytoplasm, that form vesicles, okay, and then gets into the cytoplasm. I can show you not the slide, I have this. Here, you can see here the particle, and then the ApoE is not, and then there's this kind of, there's coated pits, this structure here, and then forms a vesicle, and the vesicle blows up, and everything goes to the cytoplasm. So when the particle is taken up by the cell, I represent here the principle, the compound, and the oleate that I have added to the drug structure. And then forms the vesicles, and there is a lot of esterases, hydrolases that split the binding of the oleates to the drug, and then so we have what we do is a prodrug that after this coupling reaction, it releases the free drug that has again the pharmacological action is reacquired.
So what is the pharmacological interaction with the drug? Is it intercalating drug or intercalating DNA? Or what is the function of this drug? What does it do? Because it's an intercalating drug.
Oh, we have synthesized. We have done this with 5 different drugs. Of course, each drug is a PhD thesis, and everyone has a different mechanism. Alkylating drugs and the other acting the polymerizing and so on. So here we have mice with implanted melanoma tumors. Then you inject in the animals LDE with labeled cholesterol ether. That is a form of cholesterol that once gets into the cell, it stays there. It cannot go into extrude, okay, at least for a long time. And you see the biodistribution. Liver is the main uptake tissue, as it happens with all lipoproteins. Liver is always the main uptakes. But you can see here that the second tissue is to uptake the drug, is the tumor. So if you compare with the biodistribution of the commercial drug, it will be totally different. So we totally change the biodistribution, the kinetics, and everything of the drug. Perhaps a bit of the mechanisms of action, who knows? Okay. So here of course, I'm skipping lots of experience. So you have here the patient. We have labeled the particle and the drug. The different C14 we then treating with other to discriminate between them and trace the decay curves. You can see that in the patient, the decay curves superpose each other. They're perfectly equal, indicating that the drug is stable inside the pilot. They did not dissociate. Okay, and then you can also see here, we have here the clearance, the pharmacokinetics of the commercial drug. In the cases, I think it's probably paclitaxel. And then the pharmacokinetics of the drug associated to the particles, 12B. You see that it's pretty slower. And in the treatment of degenerative disease, to have slower pharmacokinetics is an important feature. And this is fantastic. I read a lot about this with other drug targeting systems, and I think in terms of neutralizing toxicity, this system here really I haven't read anything like that. You have here as shown in mice the classical parameters of pharmacokinetic parameters. You have to the lethal dose 50, for instance. I think it's the most important. among those, you see that the lethal dose 50 for the commercial etoposide, here another drug, is 58. And the LDE, the LD 50 for LDE, for etoposide associated to LDE is 315, which means that our preparation is at least 10 times, tenfold less toxic than the commercial drug. Same thing with paclitaxel. And here, okay, if you decrease the toxicity, but you damage the pharmacological, the anti-tumor action, of course, no big deal. But what you have here is an classical experiment as well. We implant the melanoma tumor in mice in time 0, then it grows until day 11. Here we treated a single dose of commercial etoposide associated to LDE, and saline, which is the control, of course. See here that the saline treated the controls, the tumor grows exponentially. This growth is a bit arrested, inhibited by the commercial, it's out of place, the commercial etoposide. But you see that our preparation of etoposide inhibits totally the growth of the tumor. So it increases by concentrating large amounts inside the cell, it increases the pharmacological action of the drug. And the same thing, I think the other is clear. This is a Kaplan-Meier plot for survival. You see that mice treated with, in case another drug, daunorubicin associated to LDE, the survival is prolonged in compared with the controls and the treated with commercial etoposide. So the preparation not only decreases the toxicity, but increases the anti-tumor action of the drugs. And it also decreases the metastasization process that you can see here. Focus just that. See, untreated animals with tumors, they all develop metastases. When you treat the couple of drugs in the commercial presentation, this metastatization is restricted. See, part of the animals do not develop. But when you treat the same combination of drugs, both associated to LDE, we have a remarkable decrease of the metastatization process. And here's the uptake by in case ovarian and endometrium cancers. In this case, we inject the preparation labeled with the radioisotope in patients having tumors. We inject it a day before the surgery. Then the surgeon takes up the tumors and gives us fragments, and so of the tumor and normal tissue that surrounds the tumor. And then we measure the radioactivity and see that you see that the drug is concentrated 5 to 2 times more in the tumor than in the normal tissue. And in other tumors, for example, in acute leukemia, it was something like 50 times the average concentration. Breast cancer, 10 times. Ovarian cancer, only 5 times. So it's a lot, it concentrates a lot because of the receptor overexpression. And this experiment is really fantastic. You can see here, I'm talking about the drug that I mentioned before, and Carlos. I mean, you cannot treat these patients. If you treat once, I mean, you have a lot of toxicity, neutrophils go down, leukocytes, and anemia, and so forth. They can develop liver toxicity. So by when you get to the second or third cycle, forget it. So this is a sort of phase one experience. What do you do in this case? You take a group of patients, of course. These patients had no treatment